Hey guys, welcome to this week's vlog. We're breathing. Today is a good day. We're in our second week of lockdown in South Africa. We've also been extended for another 2 weeks, which we welcome because we want to do this effectively and obviously we want to flatten that curve. But through the craziness and the anxiety of dealing with COVID, because, there isn't a guideline or a blueprint or a handy book on how to deal with it because we don't have anything to work off. But one of the other major factors which affects us all is the fact that the rate of gender-based violence has definitely increased since the lockdown. And we knew that this was going to be happening because this has now forced people to have to stay indoors with their tormentors and perpetrators. Number one. Number two, anxiety and stress levels are heightened because there's this level of uncertainty, there's financial constraints and worries, all sorts of different factors which attribute to it. And in my previous vlog, I spoke about how we need to hone in on the fact that we may be in lockdown, but our voices aren't on lockdown. And so if you know of communities or if you know of households where gender-based violence or violence is common and it's the norm, even if you do suspect, this is the time to be reaching out. But also we need to be very strategic in reaching out. And because you need to understand that perpetrators are also very, very conniving and in most cases have alienated their partners from other people and from friends and family. And so you need to reach out in a way that's not going to raise any alarms for their perpetrators. And, I'm not going to get into that now because that's giving away some of our tactics. But now is not the time to be turning a blind eye. As I said, our voices are not on lockdown. All of my social media platforms, the number's up now, the Department of Social Development, you can call, there's an SMS line, there's also a please call me line. But I put out a post last week and we got a number of responses from it and we helped a few people. But there were two mainly alarming facts that came out of that. Number one was that one of the response came from outside of South Africa. And so it was a bit worrying because the turnaround time of getting safety for that person was much longer because of the time delay, and also it was an area where she was placed was an area that none of us know, we've never been. So it was reaching out to different organizations who can assist, getting numbers and so forth. By the grace of God, through friends and in the US that helped me out, we got it to a place of safety. So the concern with that is that if you are listening to this platform, I'm not saying it is going to be happening in your area, but if you are outside of South Africa or even Africa, tag a call center or an NGO or a shelter, and we keeping a database of that so that if ever we do get one of those responses, at least we have people from all around the world that we can contact. My second major concern about after those posts, and this was a concern from before, is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is something that I've been trying to find out, and the number of shelters for the LGBTQI. And in Johannesburg, there are very, very few. I can't give a reason to that. But for instance, a lot of women's shelters, the policy and legislation that's written around excludes trans women. And this is something that we need to tackle during COVID and after COVID. But more importantly, before we get to the policy and the legislation and so forth, is that where is the help? How do we fill this gap? Because I use the term gender-based violence because over the years it was always called violence against women, and rightfully so, the higher rates are against women, but that does not exclude members from the LGBTQI and same-sex relationships and so forth. And it also reinforces the reality that GBV does not have a demographic, it doesn't have a jurisdiction, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a religion. It happens amongst human beings. And so we need to create more awareness and more spaces and safe spaces that are inclusive and are also very, very understanding. Homophobia is something that we need to tackle as it is, but even beyond homophobia, it's about understanding the true nature of being inclusive and respecting the next person. So, in conclusion, once again, I'm going to say it, our voices are not on lockdown. We need to be vigilant. We need to be calling in on those friends, calling in on your strong friends, because this is the time where everybody is feeling the anxiety at some point or another. And so if you can, please tag organizations or shelters or call centers that could assist, particularly for LGBTQI community. Also tag any organizations that are outside of South Africa. We've pretty covered East Africa. We need a lot more from West Africa and Central Africa. And then, of course, the rest of the world. And then, let's also find out what our coping mechanisms are. Because as I said before, is that, we don't have a blueprint on how to deal with this. And this is affecting every single person. So that's why it's also very, very important to check in on those strong people. Be safe. If you do need assistance, there are so many activists and warriors that are out there on social media and so forth. DM. If we can't assist you, we can definitely refer you to somebody, because now our support is on a different level. We can't do evacuations physically. There are organizations that can do it, so we can refer to that. But other than that, we're there to listen and we're there to raise the alarm. And so thanks again for watching. The DSD number is 0800 428 428. Or you can SMS help to 31531. Of course, this is only for South Africa. If you do have other numbers, please tag what country you're from, what the numbers are, and let's keep our voices alive, and let's just be looking out for each other, because we will get through this. It's going to be tough, but we also need to tackle the other demons that have been around way before COVID came about, and they will still be around after COVID. So, as I said before, our voices are not on lockdown. Thanks for listening, guys.